Hello everyone and welcome. This is Laboratory Tech 13 here from the Riptide Project Laboratory, and I've got another spicy, fiery deck tech for you today. This is actually a list that was pioneered by JdoubleR2. Yes, that's right, John Roberts II, who is a wonderful, great brewer on Arena and in Magic the Gathering in general. And remember to always support Black content creators because it is, the thing that we really need to do. We need to help out those that aren't getting seen, and, or those of us that have platforms that, want to help out. That's exactly what we're here to do. So I want to show you exactly what's going on with his deck that he built. He is an incredible deck builder. And this one is actually based on entirely burning out your opponent, using Fire and Emancipation and a bunch of other spells and stuff that are in the deck to burn out the creatures that your opponents are playing and get through with a lot of damage. So we start off with 4 times Shock. We've got 4 of Spikefield Hazard. We have 4 of Magmatic Channeler because you're playing a lot of spells. This thing will most likely be a 4/4 in the deck. We've also got Scorching Dragonfire, 4 of. And we have at least 1 Shatter Skull Smashing, which, interestingly enough, in this deck has come out to be sometimes the double damage part of this spell because of how much red mana you can generate. You've got 4 Bonecrusher Giant, just the most efficient spell, red spell in Standard right now. 4 Slaying Fire, which of course you're playing mono red. That Slaying Fire most likely will be 4 damage as opposed to 3 damage that it normally is in its normal use. And then you have Valakut Awakening to just, in an instant, put away of all of your cards and go get something more. They put them on the bottom of the library, though, so remember that. It doesn't work with a Magmatic Channeler that way. Then you have Phoenix of Ash, which is a really good card to put into the yard with Magmatic Channeler, or just if you happen to get milled by Dimir Rogues. Then 4 of Tectonic Giant. A really underused card right now in Standard, which, deals 3 damage to each opponent, and then exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them until end of your next turn. You may play that card. This is a choose one whenever it becomes a target or when it attacks. So it allows you to dig for more removal, or also just continues up the punishment. So at least this creature does about 6 damage every time it attacks if you wanted it to. Then it has 2 of Ironcrag Feet, so you can use that to cast your Fire and Emancipations, or to use it to power out some more burn all on the same turn, including, a very huge Shatter Skull Smashing, or pulling out Chandra Heart of Fire, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So then it has 3 Brash Taunter, which is an incredibly good blocking wall for the big mono green decks that are out there. Now, granted, Trample doesn't mean that it takes that much damage and hits it back to the opponent, but with the Brash Taunter, say against like the Croxa decks, they can't attack into it because it will deal 6 back to them when it blocks, and then they will also be able to fight them and make that deal damage too. So it's got Ox of Agonis in the main, so that way we can fight against the mill decks, and then 2 Chandra Heart of Fire, which has actually been really good in this deck. Her +1 deal 2 damage to any target has been hitting a lot of creatures in this current meta in Standard, and has been very useful in getting rid of some stuff. So for example, I've used it against a Skyclave Apparition to get back a creature and also have a Chandra on the board to have that creature protect Chandra, which has been very useful. Then of course, once you run out of burn in your hand, you can use the +1 to discard your hand, then exile the top 3 cards and play more stuff that turn. Now remember, this is not like Escape to the Wilds where you can have these cards all the way until next turn. You have to play them that turn, otherwise you don't get the benefit. Her ultimate is -9, search your graveyard and library for any number of red and instant or sorcery cards, exile them, then shuffle your library, and then you can cast them this turn, add 6 red. So you can basically set up an extremely huge turn where you get, let's see, like double Ironcrag Feet, so that way you get, you could only get 1, but you'd get 1 Ironcrag Feet, use 4 of that 6 red mana to get 7 extra red mana. That would mean you'd have 9 red mana, get a bunch of other spells that just hit face, like Slaying Fire, I'm sure, and just go to town. Fire Emancipation is also the top end of this deck as well. This is the card that you want to use with Ironcrag Feet. So if you have this in your opening hand, I recommend mulliganing it unless you have a lot of burn to start off with. This, of course, means that any spell that you cast or anything that you have would deal damage, it deals triple that damage instead. So Ox of Agonis deals 12 damage. You've got Chandra dealing her tick up, deals 6 damage to any target, which is really, really good. You know, Brash Taunter deals triple its damage back. It takes its damage, then triples that damage on top of that, which is very strong. And then various other things that once Emancipation out, it basically would spell the end of the game for the opponent. If this hits the board and they're not dead, then you're probably doing something wrong when you're playing with this deck. So let's go ahead and go into the sideboard here. If you want to take a look at it, we've got 4 Careless Celebrants. These are extremely good cards to have that are very good against aggro threats. So if you're playing against mono red aggro, if you're playing against let's see, weenie aggro or anything like that, white weenie, this card will be good as a blocker, and then it can also kill another target. So it's a 2-for-1 for one creature that can kill 2 things on the board. So I don't recommend this against big, like big beefer decks, like mono green. I mean, it's possible that you could play this and still block a thing and then kill that same creature by dealing 4 damage to it. Phoenix of Ash, of course, this is what you sideboard in with the Ox of Agonis in the sideboard against Mill Rogues. Soul Sears up against Mono Green if you want to go up against things that are really too big. And then Storm's Wrath is up against weenie decks, so you'll be able to take out anything that they're trying to do there. It's really good. Okay. That is basically the deck for Mono Red. Thanks to JdoubleR2 for putting this deck together. It's an incredibly wonderful deck that attacks on a totally different axis. This is not my words, these are his words. And you have to remember that when you're playing this deck, you're not playing a basic aggro deck. It's more of a control red deck that wants to get to the end game. Hey, Phantomas Dave MX, what's going on? Yeah, I saw that you followed the other day. Thanks for following. Yes, Mono Red. Yeah, we're actually checking out Mono Red. It's a super sweet. Oh, Winota is definitely there. I'll be playing that some too on stream as well. You can definitely check that out. But yeah, that's what's going on. We're gonna play with this red deck for a little bit, see how it does. Maybe like the first hour or so, and then we'll switch over to Winota and some of the other decks that I have in my list here. So I really hope that you check out all the different things that I've got going on here. But yeah, it's been pretty sweet. I actually tested out this